Sir, I can open this locker.
You? Don't be ridiculous.
I know the code. Let me try.
Fine, show me. If you can open this locker, then I'll give you $1 million.
I can open this chest.
You? Don't be ridiculous.
Inside the city's most luxurious museum sat a mysterious iron vault worth millions, a puzzle that has robbed the world's greatest locksmiths of their sleep for the last 5 years. When a top technician from America failed with all his modern machinery and declared the vault impossible to open, a poor teenager in torn clothes stepped out from the crowd and said, "Sir, I can open this." The room erupted in mocking laughter, and the American expert even threw a challenge. "If you open this, I'll give you 10 million rupees." But exactly 30 seconds later, what happened turned that laughter into pure terror, and the arrogance of the wealthy was crushed into the dust. The vault did open, but instead of gold and jewels, it held a terrifying truth and an ancient mystery that no one in that hall was prepared to face. Who is this boy, and how did the secret hidden deep inside that vault change the history of the world forever? Do not miss a single second of this video, because the ending will completely shatter your reality. In a luxurious location in the city, a heavy iron vault worth millions was kept. Wealthy businessmen and powerful people were all standing there. No one could open it. Just then, a poor child wearing torn clothes stepped forward and said, "I can open this vault." Laughter erupted everywhere. One rich man said, "People like us couldn't open this vault. You think you will?" But exactly 30 seconds later, what happened turned that laughter into fear. Arrogance was crushed into the dust, and a terrifying truth was revealed before the eyes of the wealthy. If you don't see the end, you'll miss the whole story. "Sir, I can open this vault. Just give me one chance." In an instant, the entire museum went silent. A great technician from America burst out laughing in disdain. He said mockingly, "A great technician like me couldn't open this safe, and you will? Get out of here. If you actually open this, I will give you 10 million, 1 crore rupees." The whole museum erupted in laughter. Camera flashes went off, and standing in the middle was a thin, poor teenager wearing dirty, torn clothes and worn-out slippers. This vault was no ordinary vault. It had been recovered 5 years ago from an ancient ruin. It was said that inside lay the treasure of an ancient king. But there was one problem. The vault simply would not open. All modern machines had failed. Lasers, drills, x-rays, all useless. Finally, a special technician was called from America, but even he failed to open it. However, what that poor boy did left the experienced experts from America stunned. To know what happened, keep watching until the end, friends. That day, the museum was packed. Historians, officers, media, everyone was present. And standing in a corner was the son of a lowly janitor. His father worked the night shift as a cleaner at the museum. Arab often came along with his father. He would sit quietly in a corner and look at the ancient artifacts. Today was no different, as the technician admitted defeat and said, "This vault may never open again." Right then, the voice came, "Sir, I can open it." Everyone turned and laughed. A janitor's son? The guards came to remove him, but there was no fear in the boy's eyes, only confidence. In the hall where camera flashes were blinding and people were laughing just seconds ago, a pin-drop silence suddenly fell. Everyone's gaze shifted to one side. Standing there was a thin, poor boy in torn clothes and worn-out slippers. He was barely 13 or 14 years old. Sunburnt face, messy hair, but his eyes were perfectly steady. The great technician from America, who had just confidently announced that the vault would never open, was startled. Then a cynical smile appeared on his face. Twirling his expensive ID card around his finger, he said, "A great technician like me couldn't open this. What are you gonna open, kid?" A murmur of laughter spread through the crowd. Some journalists turned their cameras toward the boy as if a new comedy show was starting. Some officers muttered in annoyance, "Where is security? Who let this kid in?" The guards moved forward to push him away, but the boy didn't budge. His voice didn't tremble. He said again, "Sir, if you give me one chance, I can open this lock. If I can't, you can throw me out, but at least let me try once." An officer said angrily, "This isn't a game. This is a national asset. Experts from around the world have been at this for 5 years. What will this kid do? But the American technician seemed to find the whole scene amusing. He stepped forward laughing, patted the boy's shoulder and said, "All right, hero, let's do this. If you open it, I'll give you 10 million rupees. Not in cash, but by check. Deal?" He turned back to the crowd, laughing as if starting a circus act. The laughter grew louder. More mobile phones and cameras were raised. Someone whispered, "If he opens it, they'll just say it was a joke later." Another said, "Let's see what drama the kid performs." In the center of the hall, behind thick iron railings, sat the massive black metal vault. It was surrounded by red velvet ropes, security guards, and CCTV cameras. On the vault was an engraved emblem of an ancient dynasty, a lion, a sword, and some strange symbols. This vault was truly extraordinary. 5 years ago, during excavations of an ancient ruined palace far from the city, workers found this heavy iron box deep underground. It was encased in stone walls, as if someone had intentionally hidden it. When it was lifted by a crane, everyone was stunned by its weight. Ancient records suggested it was a secret vault of an ancient king, containing either treasure or a hidden mystery. It was brought to the city museum. The government declared it would be opened using scientific methods, not by force. Whatever was inside was historical heritage. But the problem was, it wouldn't open. There was no ordinary keyhole, no code dial, no electronic panel. From the outside, all that was visible was thick black metal and some strange engraved symbols. Over the years, the country's top locker experts were called. Some scanned it with lasers, some used ultrasonic machines, some tried to peek inside with X-rays, but the vault revealed none of its secrets. Drill machines would heat up against the metal but wouldn't penetrate. It seemed the vault was designed to resist all modern methods. Finally, a specialist technician from a security technology company in America was summoned. His posters were on the museum walls, the world's expert on complex vaults. Today, he had arrived by flight to try and open it before the media. He used machines, sensors, and vibration analysis, but after hours of labor, he too admitted defeat. He took the mic and said, "This vault will likely never open. Without the original key or secret knowledge, it is almost impossible." Amidst this impossible moment, the boy standing in the corner stepped forward. His name was Arab. He wasn't a museum employee or a visitor. He was the son of Mohan, the janitor who cleaned the museum at night. When everyone left, Mohan would roam the halls with a broom and mop. Sometimes, when it got late, Arab would come with him because he didn't like being home alone. From childhood, Arab saw the museum's walls, statues, swords, and coins with different eyes. While his father swept, he would sit in a corner trying to read the small boards next to the artifacts. Sometimes guards would scold him, "Don't touch those." But his eyes observed everything like a researcher: patterns, symbols, shapes, locks, and hinges.
There was another strange thing. Arab's grandfather, who was no longer in this world, used to say, "We were once the king's men." To young Arab, these sounded like tall tales, but the grandfather's stories were so detailed that they often made him wonder. He would say, "Our ancestors made locks, locks no one could open, and locks that could only be opened with the power of will. The responsibility of protecting the king's treasury lay with our generation." When his grandfather died, those words vanished into the wind. But one day, in a back section of the museum's old library, a room filled with broken chairs and old posters, Arab found something strange. He had come on the night shift with his father. While the cleaners were working, Arab slipped into that room. He picked up a book and opened it. The book contained strange symbols, lock designs, gears, vault structures, and secret techniques based on symbol combinations. In several places, he saw the exact same symbols he had seen on the museum vault. His heart raced. Some pages read, "The secret lock laws of the royal vault are for descendants only. The vault opens soundlessly. The lock opens with memory." He didn't understand all of it, but he knew this was no ordinary diary. He remembered his grandfather saying they possessed the knowledge to open vaults without keys and close them without damage. For the next few nights, while his father cleaned the upper halls, Arab sat in the lower storeroom studying those books. The language was old, but he slowly began to understand the language of the symbols, the meaning of every sign, the logic of every scratch. He would practice patterns in the air as if opening an invisible lock. When news of the 500-year-old vault first reached the museum, something stirred inside him. When he first saw the vault, he froze. It was the same pattern. The engravings on the vault matched the designs in the book perfectly. From that day, a wild thought gripped his mind. Could this be the royal vault my grandfather talked about? Did my ancestors build this lock? He drew sketches in his notebook. At night, he matched them with the symbols. Gradually, a map of the entire locking mechanism formed in his head. He realized it wasn't just a piece of metal, it was a complex web of internal locking plates, sliding wedges, and weight-based mechanisms that could unlock if light pressure was applied to specific spots. But this was all theory. He had no chance to prove it. Today, when the foreign technician gave up, something inside Arab nearly snapped. He felt his ancestors' knowledge was being insulted. Out of that emotion, he called out, "Sir, I can open it." Now he was in a position where he would either be called completely crazy or he would change history. The American technician had thrown a challenge. The crowd took it as a joke. All eyes were on the boy. Arab slowly walked forward. His father ran through the crowd. "Son, what are you doing? This is rich people's business. Come down." But it wasn't just between father and son anymore. It was a battle for his belief and his family's legacy. He approached the vault and touched its cold surface. The metal was cold, but a warm current flowed through his body. He took a deep breath. He didn't ask for machines, hammers, or tools. People expected him to do something cinematic, spread his hands, close his eyes, or chant mantras. But he did none of that. He simply placed his fingers on the vault. He gently touched the engraved symbols, as if recognizing them. He placed his hand on a side edge where there was a slight protrusion, something invisible to the average person and seemingly useless to an expert.
First, he gave light taps with his fingers on specific spots. Tap, tap. A faint echo vibrated from within the metal according to an invisible pattern. Then, using both hands, he applied pressure to 2 different spots simultaneously. He released it. Then he touched a 3rd spot. His entire focus was on the memories from those books. First the top plate, then the bottom wedge, then the right slide. To the media, this looked slow and boring. Some lowered their cameras. Nothing's happening, just a waste of time. Someone whispered, "Watch, the guards will remove him in a minute." In the hall, only a few people were truly holding their breath. His father, a few old employees who had seen him in the library at night, and perhaps the engineer who watched in surprise as the boy touched the vault with a very specific, deliberate pattern rather than at random. Arab finally placed his palm on one corner of the vault. With a light but steady pressure, he made a sliding gesture of a few centimeters, as if pushing an invisible bolt. Click. A very low sound occurred. It was so quiet some didn't even hear it, but those standing close caught it. Then came the sound of something heavy moving inside, a deep grumble as heavy metallic plates dropped. The next moment, the heavy door of the vault leaned forward slightly on its own. Someone gave it a gentle push, and the vault door swung open. The entire museum went dead silent. For several seconds, no one could process what had happened. Then, suddenly, camera flashes became intense. A roar of excitement surged through the crowd. "It's open! The vault is open!" Someone screamed, "Impossible!" Some sat down in disbelief, holding their heads. The American technician's face went pale. He ran to the vault, inspecting the hinges and the lock mechanism. He looked inside, then back at the boy. There was no gold inside, No piles of shiny diamonds or gold coins. Inside were old leather pouches, copper cylinders, rolled up parchments, sealed documents, royal seals, rare coins, and metal plates with inscriptions. To historians, this was more valuable than gold. An elderly historian with trembling hands picked up a document. He saw the writing in the seal and sat down overwhelmed. These look like the original land treaties of that dynasty. This is the authentic royal seal that was only a legend. This could change the entire history books. Someone said, "We looked for gold, but we found history." The American technician who travels the world opening locks with tools and codes said in a low voice, This is impossible. There was no keyhole, no code, no combination input. How did you do it?" Arab simply said, "Sir, this lock doesn't open with machines. It opens with memory. When it was built, the methods were written in a special book. My grandfather used to say our ancestors built locks. I felt that perhaps they built this one. I only applied the patterns I found in those old books." His words were simple, but behind them stood generations of knowledge. He was speaking of a world that people had forgotten. The government called a press conference at lightning speed. The boy was called to the stage. Looking at his torn clothes, some said, "Give him better clothes first." But Arab stood on stage in those same clothes, with a mix of slight fear and pride in his eyes. An officer announced, "Today, this child didn't just open a vault, he opened a closed door to our history. The government will take full responsibility for his education. He will be given a scholarship to study engineering, history, or science, whatever he chooses." And that 10 million rupees? 1 crore? The American technician who had been in a daze slowly walked forward with a checkbook. He didn't need a microphone. He wrote the amount before everyone, a 1 followed by 7 zeros, and without a word, handed the check to Arab. He said softly, "I gave a challenge. I must keep my word." Sometimes cultural knowledge is greater than any modern technology.
Arab's father's hands were shaking. He couldn't decide which was heavier, the weight of that check or the sudden rush of pride. But the real point wasn't the money. The real point was that the boy who until yesterday was ignored as the janitor's son was now standing on a national stage with the world's cameras on him. Not all locks open with force. Some locks open with history. Some locks open with memory, not machines. Some locks look for a story, not a key. Arab was poor. He didn't have a fancy school, a costly phone, or a degree, but his knowledge was rich, enriched by ancestral heritage, curiosity, and the courage to step out from the crowd. If you believe that talent doesn't look at a location or ask for a degree, but only asks for an opportunity, then remember, every child deserves that opportunity. So friends, that was our video for today. Let us know in the comments how you liked it. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to our Bassarin YouTube channel right now. See you in the next video. Until then, may Allah keep us all on the right path. Ameen summa ameen.